Good morning, people. This is your boy, John Mann, aka the nappy headed assassin, aka I am Manny's son, aka the Catman, aka the worst football prognosticator of all time. Yes, people, this is my weekly prediction show. Uh, we're in week 6. And for those who are new to this, I predict NFL games weekly. I am a Philadelphia Eagle fan, so I try not to see things through an Eagles lens, so that's me. So if you follow me, um, if you're new to this, you can follow me on Instagram, uh, here on Facebook. Some of you are on Facebook, YouTube at John Man Baby. That's JONMANNBABY. Also at Catman Do Sports. That's CATMANNDO Sports. That's on all major platforms, social media, um, both YouTube channels of that. My Twitch is John Man Baby. So for those who are not watching on Twitch or whatever the case, you can find me there. Yes, this is week 6. Last week, I had a pretty good week. Um, Last week I had an excellent week. Last week I went 13-3. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, my overall record for the season is 52-28. The 3 games I did get wrong last week. I did have Seattle. I had Seattle over the Rams. I had the Raiders over the Bears, and I had Kansas City over Buffalo. Got those 3 games wrong. Thursday, if you didn't see the show on Thursday, I did predict the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. That was probably the Eagle fan in me. I was completely wrong and delusional. I can admit to that. Uh, and so far, I started off 0-1. I do not know what the score is in the Jacksonville Miami game right now as we speak, but I did pick Jacksonville. I'm going to start going a little bit earlier um, on these earlier games, Sunday games that's across the pond, or talk about these games on Thursday or whatever. Um, but I did have Jacksonville over Miami last time I did check. I think Jacksonville did take the lead, and they were up, I believe 16-10 last time I saw. I normally, believe it or not, I would have been on time, but knucklehead like me, unplugged everything right before showtime, so I had to wait for everything to boot up, wait for everything to get cleared, everything to get working to my standards. We um, so like I stated, real quick, I'll be bringing more content during the week, doing my Thursday night uh, prediction show. Hopefully, like on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll be able to start breaking down Eagles games, and give my opinion and my focus on what's uh, good and bad with my Philadelphia Eagles. I'm also on the college side. I'm a Penn State fan, so that's why you see the blue right there on the screen in front of you. But without further ado, we're going to go get these things popping, so that way you have enough time to go and check and hopefully make some last minute bets off of my picks. But I am the world's worst football prognosticator, so um, use my information at your own risk. That's all I'm saying. Use my information at your own risk. So, with that said, and without a further ado, we'll get started this week. First game that I would like to talk about is the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The Packers are coming off a game where they had a close one against Cincinnati. They pulled it out. Um, Overtime, Cincinnati made it close late, and Green Bay came over and just took over in overtime, kicked the field goal, won the game. Aaron Rodgers had an Aaron Rodgers type game. They ran the ball pretty decently and effectively. They really couldn't stop Cincinnati, so to speak, in the second half. So that game was really tight, really close. So with that said, Chicago last week played the Raiders, and surprisingly, I did pick the Raiders last week, but surprisingly, Chicago looked pretty good. Fields was up and down, but he did just enough to pull out the victory. The Raiders are falling apart. We're not going to touch on the John Gruden thing, but that was prior to the everything completely coming out about John Gruden. The Bears' offense is what would you expect? The Bears' offense, as you would expect, is they're a little iffy. They're only scoring 17 points a game. That you can't get it done in the NFL. And Green Bay gives up 24 points a game. The difference between the two is obviously that Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers and Chicago does not. Green Bay is favored in this game. Only 4.5 points on the road. When it's like that, that's us. When Vegas gives a point spread like that, it's kind of scary. But I'm still taking Green Bay straight up. The Packers just have too much on offense. Even though the young kid is developing in Chicago, I just believe that Chicago do not have enough to slow down Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. The next game would be Kansas City and Washington. Kansas City coming off a loss to, I believe, possibly the best team in the league, in the Buffalo Bills. I believe the Bills is the best team in the league. They went into Kansas City and gave them a beatdown. Kansas City just looked so inconsistent offensively, which is surprising, considering the weapons and the coaching of Andy Reid. Their defense is hideous. That's probably the more pressing thing. Excuse me. Their defense is hideous. They can't stop anybody from scoring. They can't stop anybody from moving the ball. So if they can't move the ball, if they can't score with any consistency, you see games like last Sunday when Buffalo went into Kansas City and gave them the beatdown. Now, Washington played the Saints, and I don't know what's going on with Washington as far as their defense. The defense is crazy. Is that their defense is getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Excuse me, but they can't stop anybody. So the Saints went in, put up 33 points in DC, and Jameis Winston looked pretty comfortable against that Washington defense. I have Kansas City beating Washington. This was probably one of the tougher games for me to pick. In theory, Kansas City is 6.5 point favorites, which scares me even more. I don't think Kansas City is as bad as they look, but I don't think they're that great. They're not playing that great either. With Washington, it's the same. I don't think Washington is as bad as they look, but it's basically quarterback versus quarterback and coach versus coach is the reason why I'm taking Kansas City over the Washington football team. Next game, Baltimore and the LA Chargers, which is one of the premier games of the week. Baltimore and Chargers. You have 2 4-1 teams. You have a hot young quarterback as far as Justin Herbert. You're just showing like he's probably arguably this season one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Mike Williams is going off. All that expectations for Mike Williams over the years is coming into fruition this year. And they're running the ball pretty decently with Eckler, and they balancing things out. Last week, the Chargers was in a shootout with Cleveland. That game was probably the most exciting game. Well, actually, the Chargers and Baltimore probably played in the 2 most exciting games of last week. The Chargers just exploded in the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter was just unbelievable. It was 41 combined points between the Browns and the Chargers. And Baltimore last week. Baltimore couldn't get anything. Baltimore couldn't get anything going against Indianapolis until the fourth quarter happened and Lamar happened. I believe that Lamar is on that edge of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He's just not conventional. A lot of people don't like, they're caught up in fantasy football stats, so they don't like the way he looks as far as how he plays the quarterback position. But playing the quarterback position is about 2 things: winning and winning. No matter how you get it done, if they ran the wishbone and it was winning, that's all what matters. So that fourth quarter is one of the greatest fourth quarters. He had his stat line last week is probably one of the greatest stat lines in the history of the game. I mean, the kid was 37 for 43 for 440 plus and 4 touches. You will never, I won't say you will never, but those are numbers that Mahomes and all these great young quarterbacks, all these quarterbacks in the history has never put up anything close to those exact numbers. And it just seems like he's getting a little bit better. I do have Baltimore beating the Chargers for one reason and one reason only. The Ravens run the ball, and the Chargers can't stop the run. So with that, with that said, I don't believe that no matter how explosive the Chargers are, they just can't stop the run. Cleveland was able to gash them on more than one occasion, and that's how the game turned out the way it did. The next game I want to talk about, Rams and the Giants. The Rams are 4-1. Giants are 1-4. Giants are looking like one of the worst teams in the league. They've been decimated with injuries, but they just look horrible. Can't get anything done offensively. Definitely don't look good defensively. Um, Now with the um, Giants makeup, they can't stop the ball and they can't move the ball. So that's just a horrible combination when it comes to trying to win and trying to uh, move forward and win ball games in the league. Now the Rams. I'm sorry, we'll stay with the Giants. The Giants coming off a game where they got blown out by the Cowboys. That game was just ugly. You know, the second half was completely ugly. They turned a close game and just blew them out the water. Um, so it was a tough watch. Uh, Granted, the Cowboys probably have the Cowboys easily have one of the top three explosive offenses in the league. So that's not surprising. Now with the Rams, the Rams is coming off a win against Seattle. Russell Wilson got hurt in that game, but I don't think that really made much of a difference. It possibly did. They couldn't, but it possibly had some effect. But Seattle's defense is not really playing up to par. The Rams look pretty decent offensively. Last week, excuse me, last week Stafford looked solid, but most importantly, um, they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop Robert Woods. Robert Woods had a monster game, and if they get that type of production, offensively, they're kind of hard to beat. You can see where I'm going with this as far as who I'm picking. I am picking the Rams over the Giants. I don't think it's going to be close at all, even though it's a West Coast team moving all the way to the East Coast. So, with that said, the next game I want to talk about is Detroit and Cincinnati. Um, Detroit and Cincinnati. This is an intriguing matchup. Uh, you have one of the worst teams in the league in the Detroit Lions playing a young, up and coming Cincinnati team. Um, Detroit last week had an opportunity to get their first win of the season, but they fell short against Minnesota. I don't even know what the deal or what the issue is with Detroit. Maybe inconsistent quarterback play. That might have something to do with it. Um, Not, they were able to run the ball a little bit. They got a pretty good 1-2 punch with Williams and Swift. Their defense is the defense played decent last week, but just overall they just haven't been strong. Um, and last week also Cincinnati. Excuse me. Last 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 week. Um, yes, with Cincinnati. Cincinnati played that tough game against Green Bay. They got Aaron Rodgers, so to speak, but they have, I mean, too many young weapons. That passing attack with Joe Burrow is looking pretty impressive, and it just looks like it's getting better and better and better. Jamar Chase looks really really good. I personally thought that he was the best wide receiver in the draft, and he is um, as of right now, as of this season, as in this point, that is coming to fruition. Um, so, with all that said, I believe that Detroit will pull off the upset and beat Cincinnati. This was the week that I picked two winless teams to win their first week. Earlier, I said I had Jacksonville over Miami, and this week I have this week I have Cincinnati pulling off the upset. I'm sorry, I have Detroit pulling off the upset against the Cincinnati Bengals. I just believe that Detroit's defense will slow down Cincinnati enough, and I think they'll get that running game going against Cincinnati to take some of that pressure off of Jared Goff and pull off the upset. Whew. Here we go. Next game, we have the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. The Colts are 10-point favorites over the Texans. You got to put that in perspective. They're playing in Houston, and you have two 1-4 teams, and one of the 1-4 teams are 10-point favorites on the road against another 1-4 team, which is crazy to me. So if you're gambling, and the only gambling advice I would give in regards to this, I would take Houston in the points. 10 points is a lot of is a lot of points for two one very bad team versus another bad team. I don't care if one team in theory on paper have more weapons and have more looks. That's not enough. But that's crazy being 10-point favorites. We're gonna talk about Indianapolis. Indianapolis had that game win last week about Baltimore against Baltimore. Then Lamar happened. I touched on that earlier. Carson Wentz had a monster game. Have to give him credit, give him props for that. For looking decent. Actually, he looked pretty good. So if the Colts are able to straighten that out and straighten him out, and he starts to play better, maybe they can get out of the hole that they're in. Get out that 1-4 hole. And Houston last week had the game. They had New England dead to the rights, and let New England come back. Gave up 10 points in the fourth quarter, and I don't know how they lost that game, but there's a reason why teams are 1-4. When you collapse defense, can't stop anybody in crucial and clutch situations. Then you start showing the cracks of a bad team. But with that said, this was another tough game for me to pick. I really was leaning towards Houston winning this game, but I did pick Indianapolis to win this game. I think Frank Reich has gotten things moving, so to speak, in the right direction with Carson. If somehow, some way, Indianapolis lose this game, their season is over. So this is almost, in my opinion, almost a must-win situation for a team that a lot of people thought that would be in the mix for the Super Bowl beginning of the season. Now the late games, Arizona and Cleveland. The Browns, my goodness, the Browns are 3-point favorites over Arizona, and I can understand that. Arizona's undefeated at 5-0. Cleveland is 3-2. Last week, Cleveland had that tough, heartbreaking loss to the Chargers in that shootout, that fourth quarter Wild Wild West shootout. Their running game is just phenomenal. They do have the best running attack in the NFL. It's crazy. And that allows that takes so much pressure off of Baker Mayfield. And as an Eagles fan, I wish our young coach will understand what a solid running game would do to alleviate pressure off of your young quarterback. So they have definitely done that to alleviate the pressure off of Baker. with that running game. Last week also, excuse me, last week, Arizona played San Francisco. That game was ugly. That high powered attack of Arizona was held to 17 points against the 49ers. So there could be some cracks in the armor uh, as far as knowing how to play Arizona. Arizona do have a lot of weapons. They do have a young quarterback. Um, and Murray was strong, man. Murray scored late to give them that breathing room at the end of the game. He made the plays that he needed to make against the 49ers, but just overall, with the offensive weaponry that Arizona have, they should have put up more points than 17. My pick for this game, I have Cleveland giving Arizona their very first loss. Cleveland's running attack is number one. Arizona's rushing defense is horrible. Arizona is giving up 5.6 yards per carry defensively, and that is not going to get it done against the most impressive rushing attack um, in the league. The next game that I want to talk about: Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots. Dallas Cowboys 4-1, New England 2-3. The Cowboys are obviously head and shoulders the best team in the NFC East. I just got to give them props where their props are due. Zeke is starting to look better. He's looking like the Zeke of old with that 1-2 punch with Pollard. Their rushing attack looks very, very well. But most importantly, and most impressively, is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is if Dak Prescott is not top five, he is definitely knocking on that door. Being in that top five, the kid gets a lot of hate, and that's understandably so because the Cowboys get a lot of hate, and that's deservedly so. um, but just all in all, that Dak has just been playing lights out. It is scary what this kid is doing, and it just makes his offense even scarier. The Cowboys' defense is horrible when it comes to stopping people. You can move the ball in the Cowboys, but the most important thing, though, is that the Cowboys turn the ball over. The Cowboys are number one in the league, are first in the league in defensive drives that end in turnover. So, meaning that the drives that their defense are on the field results, they have the highest percentage of resulting the offensive team that they're playing against resulting in turnovers. You can't you it doesn't matter if how many yards you give up, but if you force turnovers, um that would be the case. Also, they got two young studs that I'm gonna give props to in that defense. They got the young backer out of Penn State, Michael Parsons, has looked pretty good, but that Trayvon Diggs, man, that he just looked like the next greatest thing as far as the cornerback position. Um, the way with his speed and his anticipation and the way he could jump routes, is the way he hawks the ball. He is the next. He's the next shutdown corner. I don't know why these teams are throwing the ball to his side of the field, um, but they shouldn't be throwing the ball to his side of the field. Now with New England is coming off uh, a, a big win over Houston, if you call it a big win, but it's a big win for the simple fact that for the maturation. Excuse me, I'm choking to death. It is a big win when you talk about the maturation of a young quarterback like Mac Jones. you need to show growth, and you need to see your quarterback grow in tough situations. And he was able to do that. He was able to pull off the fourth quarter comeback to beat the Texans. The Patriots defense is pretty good. Nobody's talking about the Patriots defense because the Patriots, we're all caught up in the Patriots record, but the Patriots defense is pretty darn good. Teams aren't really moving the ball against them much. They're not scoring against them much. They just haven't had that consistency from an offensive standpoint. So next thing you know, once they get those two things balanced out and get that offense a little bit closer to the defense, it won't reach to the same level of the defense, but to get that offense a little bit closer to the defense, they will be in better shape and they would be contending for a wild card position. With all that said, I have New England pulling off the upset. Even though I do think the Cowboys are above and beyond a better team than the Patriots. I just think the Patriots defense is a little bit better than we give them credit for. And late afternoon games in Gillette Stadium, Belichick still has that magic. We don't know if it was a Brady thing or not, but I just think that the defense of New England will neutralize, not stop, but neutralize Dallas enough to pull off the upset late. Next game I want to talk about, the next game I definitely want to talk about is the Raiders and the Broncos. Hold on one second. It's the Raiders over the Broncos. The Raiders. We're not going to go deep into things. I did touch briefly about the situation with John Gruden. They got a new coach coming to play. It's kind of crazy. I don't know how the locker room is or how they're reacting, how they're feeling, or whatever. I just know that's a crazy situation that's going on in Vegas. And ironically, it seems as of right now that Washington is exempt. The investigation is on Washington, and Vegas is catching hell. That's funny how things work. But the Vegas team started off hot 3-0, lost their last two games last week. The Raiders played Chicago in John Gruden's last game, and it was just a hideous performance all the way across the board. It was no way that Chicago should have won that game. That was just the writing on the wall. So that that gives me a little bit of pause of what's going on, because some of those things leaked prior to that game. So that gives me a little bit of pause on what's going on in Vegas. They were, Derek Carr is looking a little bit shaky. Just everything is just falling apart. So it's not a good situation in Vegas. Now with the Denver Broncos, Denver, they let Pittsburgh. They had a tough loss. They let Pittsburgh jump to a big lead, and then they got hot in the fourth quarter. Bridgewater's been solid. Bridgewater's been up and down. What people are not talking about with Denver, Denver quietly has a great defense. So it was like a little bit surprising with the offensive struggles that Pittsburgh had. They were able to do some things with that Denver against that Denver offense that was able to stretch against Denver and made Ben look like vintage Ben last week. Bridgewater's a solid quarterback. Um, uh, he has his moments. Last week, his moments didn't come until his moments didn't really come into the fourth quarter. A couple of stalled drives, resulted in the field goals. They could have put more points on the board and put more pressure on Pittsburgh, but they wasn't able to do that. Um, so um, the Broncos are 3.5 point favorites at home, which is um, another scary spread. Um, I believe, and I picked the Broncos to beat the Raiders, and it's going to be more than 3.5 points. I think the Raiders are following. I think the Raiders are falling apart right now. There's a lot of uncertainty over there in Vegas, but this could be one of those games that the Raiders, the Raiders have always been anti, everybody against us, them against the world. So this could be one of those situations where they could rally the troops and get a win. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if that was the case. But I just think it's a lot of shakiness that's going on in Vegas, and they're right for the picking. And plus that Broncos defense is that good. So I have the Broncos beating the Vegas Raiders. Next game I want to talk about is the uh, Pittsburgh Seattle game, Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh versus Seattle. Um, as you just heard, I did mention Pittsburgh last week. Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, um, Deontay Johnson. They, they lit up a pretty can't even speak. Pretty formidable, pretty formidable Bronco defense. Ben looked a lot better than he has had. Recently he didn't look like the old Ben Rock. He didn't look old. He still looked old, but he didn't look old. How he has been looking. So that should be encouraging. Um, that should be encouraging for the Steelers. They ran the ball a little bit last week. Um, Najee Harris is a beast. Um, so they keep putting the ball in his gut. That should help Ben out and extend a little bit. Their defense is not the Steelers' defense that we know. It's not looking like a Mike Tomlin coached defense. So they got to shore up a couple of things there defensively. Now with Seattle lost Russell Wilson last week in their loss against the Rams. So not only that's big, but they also lost Chris Carson as well. So Seattle is not playing with Russell Wilson or Carson. Now, Geno Smith is back in the mix. I like Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith is one of those quarterbacks that's gotten a bad rap, and it's just I have to give the kid credit that he's been able to find a role in this league and been able to stay in the league. That's very impressive for Geno. Uh, I don't know what Seattle's offensive identity is without Russell. So it's like Russell does everything with a little bit of Chris Carson thrown in. Uh, but last week in that Rams loss, Uh, you defense, what I'm saying. Both defenses look pretty good in the first half. Um, Seattle was able to score right before halftime. Then when Russell got hurt, it was a done deal. Gino didn't wake up until late. So I don't know if it was a little rust thing. So maybe that shook off the rust. Maybe that will um, come into in his in the. I think maybe him shaking off the rust would work in favor for him this week. I expect Geno Smith to have a better game this week against Pittsburgh because I don't think Pittsburgh defense is that good right now. So I said all that to let you know. Excuse me. I said all that to let you know that Pittsburgh is a 5-point favorite, which is a strange spread with all in comparison to other games. To all my people that bet, and I'm taking Pittsburgh to win this game. I believe it's going to be more than 5 points. I believe that Geno Smith will look better this week, and I believe that Seattle is going to be fine. I think this will show that this is the game that shows that Geno Smith is the man and can be the man. Um, so, so Seattle losing to Pittsburgh is my prediction. Tomorrow night is Monday night, and Monday night Tennessee and Buffalo. Um, this is going to be a great Monday night game. Like I said earlier, I believe that Buffalo is the best team in the league. Um, I believe that offensively and defensively, the combination of the two, nobody's playing better on both sides of the ball than Buffalo. Um, Last week, um, content at the end of the either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll have some Eagle specific content, break some stuff down, and that's that. So enjoy your day. Look forward to seeing y'all either Tuesday or Wednesday, but definitely we'll see you Thursday for my Thursday night picks and breakdown. Go a little bit more in depth on the Thursday night game. Have a safe, wonderful day. I am the Catman, and I'm out.